What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome back to the show. It's your first time joining the show? Welcome to the show. Like it, subscribe, send it to a friend. Let everybody know what we got going on over here. It is a very fun time with a diverse palette of guests for you to enjoy, like our guest today, Kevin Pollak. Such an incredible actor, comedic mind, writer, poker player. This dude is phenomenal. I love Kevin. It was great to sit down with him and chat for a little while. If you want to see me, I'm back on the road in the fall with Bob. Me and Bobby are doing the Bad Friends Live, where we do stand-up and then we do bits from the show. It isn't a live podcast. People ask that all the time. It's stand-up and bits from the show and interactive stuff with the audience. You're going to love it. Go to badfriendspod.com. Badfriendspod.com will be all over the place, including and not limited to Boston, Milwaukee, Chicago, Madison, D.C., we are everywhere. Denver. We're bouncing around, babies. Come see us. Go to badfriendspod.com, badfriendspod.com to get those tickets. Enough rambling from me. Let's go to the episode.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I said it for all my guests, but I'm meeting once again today. It's Kevin Pollak. Did you see how fast I did that?
Too fast.
No, it was really good.
I mean, your listeners heard it, but I didn't.
Yeah, they heard it. They know what it is.
A couple of dogs in Sherman Oaks just lifted their heads.
Don't tell people our secret location.
I was going to say,
We're in Van Nuys.
You're at the basin of the French Riviera of the valley.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. We take pride, man. Valley boys for life. You're not a Valley boy? You don't like the Valley?
Well, you're obviously not originally from here, so
No.
Yeah, you can call yourself whatever you want. I'm West Side.
Oh, you're a
I'm a West Side jerk.
guy.
But Mar Vista, which is like the
Mar
last
Vista, yeah.
holdout of people showing up at your house saying, okay, where the fuck am I? What is this?
I like Mar Vista. I lived near it when I first moved to Los Angeles. I lived Palms
Sure.
National in the 10.
Uh-huh.
Real great neighborhood. Got robbed like 4 times, I think.
Yeah.
House
So-
got broken into. Car broken. Windows. Yeah.
I have very peaceful street.
No, Mar Vista is very nice. Well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a little, it's more upscale, and you deserve it. You've worked very hard.
Very long. I don't know about very hard.
Did I say long?
You said hard. You've worked very hard.
Hey, man.
I'm going to correct you and say very long.
You're long and hard, from what I hear. That's what Hollywood says. Sorry, this podcast is taking a long time to kind of get going. You guys, the writer's
Sure.
strike has really affected us a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually have 15, 16 writers in here.
Uh-huh.
Just jamming away at the pod. I'm supposed to have a meeting. And of course, I called my agent and said, I'm not going to go to a meeting during the writer's strike. Is this a joke?
Right.
And then he yelled at his assistant, like, why did we not tell him that? I was
Wow.
like, what is going on?
Pay less attention.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to go.
My first.
Imagine me driving through the lot, driving right through the middle of everyone picketing. Like, guys, excuse me, I have a meeting I have to go to.
Was it a meeting for you as a writer or an actor?
It's nondescript. It was just kind of a
General meeting.
kind of it's
A fan.
for an actor, as an actor.
Yeah,
not
a fan in a position of power.
But it still feels yucky.
Sure.
There's something about it.
No,
you're
you
like,
don't go.
I
You don't
can't
go.
do that.
No,
That's
no.
insane.
I mean, I'm about to start 2 films, but only because the scripts are locked. How are you?
I'm very good.
Okay, good.
You're about to start 2 films. Longest amount of time you've gone without working, by the way.
When will this drop?
I like to hold these for about a year or 2.
Uh-huh. Okay.
This will drop in a couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask before we started. I had a very specific reason for asking that question, but it'll be at least 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We can be as long as you want.
No. 2 weeks is actually perfect. 2
Okay,
weeks
good.
from this day
Okay, wonderful.
is perfect.
Okay.
Which we'll talk about later. Longest I've gone without working. Well, as my better half will tell you, been together 15 years, engaged for probably 8 years, no designs whatsoever from either one of us to get married. We're not procreators. I'll stop talking now.
Why did you do the engagement if you're not going to pull
Just
that
to make
last
my
trigger?
intentions known
I
after
got
like
it.
a handful of
I
years. And
got
also girlfriend felt like old after 5 years. And then immediately my fiance was stupid because everyone immediately wants to know when you're getting married. So that's got to stop.
Fiance is very stupid.
Yeah. And then it becomes better half. And then, the assumption is that I'm with a man.
Why don't you say what the kids say?
What do the kids say?
Partner. My partner. That's actually the most like, what do they say? The most like...
non-binary?
Yeah, it's like the most
Fluid?
non-restrictive term.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Like it's partner. It can be whatever it is. It's my partner.
Yeah. We out in public say wife, husband, just to shut people up with the questions.
Because you don't want to deal with it nonsense.
No. Don't want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
No.
It does drag.
So this has been fun.
So
what was the question?
So your better half, when was the longest that you went without work?
She would I always, and to this day says, he was very big in the 90s. So what happened was, as a stand-up comedian first, after A Few Good Men, and I crossed the goal line and was getting offers instead of having to audition, because I was Waldo in that cast, the only one people got to discover, basically, even though I'd done a handful of films, died in Denzel's arms, spoiler alert, Ricochet. But, when you get offers as a stand-up comedian, the answer is yes. Where's the stage?
How do I do it?
So I just said yes to the first 40.
Yeah.
Literally, 6 of which are quite good that I did in the 90s.
So 2 of my favorite films that you're in.
Starting with?
This is the first time we've ever met, and I want to say this. I don't want to fanboy out, but I got to tell you something.
Well, I'm going to fanboy out on you, too, because we can't get enough of Dave.
But I got to tell you, I have, as a kid, my best friend and I would watch like a chunk of movies on repeat to like an annoying degree where my parents would be like, why are you watching that again?
What age?
A young teen, like, 13, 14. That was like the kind of the beginning of our like...
Sure.
Becoming cinephiles, like wanting to watch things obsessively and quote lines to each other and talk about like, and he wasn't even interested in the business. I was, but he just loved film.
Yeah.
But Grumpy Old Men,
sure,
quite honestly, as a comedian too, was one of those movies where I was like, it's everything I want a movie to be.
Yes.
It's hilarious. It's sweet. It's got a great little bow on it.
Never sappy, really.
It was so good. It didn't cross the edge of like corny. It was always really, the heart was so wonderful.
Yeah.
And also Casino, but we'll talk about that in a second. But Grumpy Old Men to me was such an important film as a kid. Because they were such great comedians.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore.
And my dad would talk about them like they were mega gods because our age, I knew Eddie Murphy and you know what I mean? And he was like, these guys, you want to talk about guys that are lightning fast upstairs. He's like, look at how old they are. They're still just like...
Their timing was
unreal.
It was bonkers. Also, they lived together while shooting the movie. So we were shooting in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Their reps called ahead to find out where's the best suite for my boy to stay in.
Right.
They found out that there was the best suite in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah.
So the agents are back and forth, back and forth. Walter and Jack eventually find out about this bickering and say, well, tell us about this room. It turns out there was another master bedroom at the other end of this giant suite. And they said, kick open the door. We'll fucking share because there's a grand piano, there's a bar, there's a kitchen, there's a thing. So the odd couple lived together while we were shooting.
What?
Exactly. And then they would invite us, a few of us up to every now and then, you'd walk in, Jack's playing the piano, and you just instantly stop in your place and defecate because you can't believe what's happening. Your mind is blown. Also, for me, a wannabe character actor, these 2 guys had perfect careers. They were character actors first and foremost, who got to be movie stars and got to do the most intense drama and the most ridiculous comedy. Also within the same career, which just doesn't really happen, especially now. So I'm around Mount Rushmore, and they're just lovely and extraordinary.
Did they ever fuck with you? Because those guys, I feel like they
always... fucked with each other for real, hilariously. And Walter, one of the most intelligent people I will ever meet, loved to shock people with the dirty mouth. Yeah. Instantly canceled, of course, now. But we shot that, the mid-'90s, I guess? So you could kind of say anything.
Yeah.
But he just loved to shock people. When we did the sequel, do I get canceled for telling his stories?
No.
Okay. When we did the sequel, geniusly titled Grumpier Old Men, think tank from Mensa worked a while on that.
A couple of NASA grads came over and said, we got it.
we got it. Let us pitch.
Yeah.
So, first thing that happens is a table read. They're going to bring everybody back together for a table read. Walter's in New York doing My Name Is Not Rappaport on Broadway. So they fly, the mountain moves to Muhammad. We all get on the private Warner's jet, and There's Sophia Loren, who hadn't been in a movie in 25 years. Part of my childhood as the sexiest woman alive. So everyone on the plane is on eggshells. No one's talking to Ms. Loren. No one's talking to each other. Nobody wants to say the wrong thing in front of Ms. Loren, who at 65 looked like the most gorgeous person who had ever lived. So we arrive at the hotel. They take us into a room, table, waiting for Walter. Of course, we go to him, and he's the last to show. And he walks in, still silent, eggshells everywhere, walks right up to Sophia, having never met in either their lives or careers, and says, "Great to meet you, love to eat you." First thing out of his mouth.
Did you guys lose it?
Opening salvo. Every chin hits the table.
I would have lost my shit.
Every chin hits the table. It's shock first.
It's amazing.
And then she says, "Oh, Walter," with her hand waving at him. And he's, while everyone's now in hysterics because she was cool, and then he says, "I'm not kidding. Everybody else clear out." Yeah. So he was all about that all the time.
I feel like because I have so many questions about it too. Like, was Burgess dirty? Was he always dirty or no? Because they sling him a bunch of those outtakes, and my friend and I we memorized those.
Well, half of them mine.
Yours?
Because the director knew. He said, "Kevin, when we get to this thing, I need you to throw out some for him to say." Because they're all, whether childhood limerick nonsense or,
We'd repeat that all the time. My friend Sean and I would say it to each other when we call each other on the phone.
Skinboat to Tuna Town.
Skinboat to Tuna Town is one of my absolute favorites. Also, the simplicity of looks like Chuck's going to bury his boner is so funny.
Yeah.
It got me every time.
It's pure.
Because it's so simple.
Yeah.
I feel like...
Take a ride in the wild baloney pony.
Baloney pony, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody in my mind when I was watching the film as a wannabe comedian of 14, 15, I thought, this is the absolute dream come true, working with other comedic minds to make this movie.
Yeah. Also, Buck Henry. I mean,
my God.
The fucking cast was insane. And Anne Margaret for me also fantasy-wise as a kid. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Just, and couldn't have been more lovely. And
did the boys ever feel like, the boys, did
Jack and Walter.
Yeah, did they ever feel, because they always feel, they have this like timelessness to them that does feel like their youth, their personified youth forever.
Yeah.
And they're like kids. And so to me, I always wondered, were they competitive about their characters' love interests off screen? Like, were they?
No.
No, they didn't do that at all.
No. Walter barely cared.
Really?
First time I met him, I walked up to him. The director said, "Hey, nice to meet you." And Walter's standing there. He said, "Walter, this is Kevin Pollak. He's playing your son on the film." And then the director says, "I got to go check on the lights." And he just walks away, leaving me alone with, honestly, one of the faces on Mount Rushmore. I just shit myself again. And now I'm standing there, and he's just, he has the face of a basset hound from birth.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to say. And I foolishly say, attempt to make small talk. Asshole move. "So, Walter, script's pretty good, huh?"
Absolutely not.
He says, he just looked at me without a smile and said, "The script sucks, kid. I owe my bookie $2 million." And he wasn't kidding. He was being matter of fact. He wasn't even trying to make me laugh.
Was he always tanking like that? Was he a big
at his
gambler?
memorial service on the back of the program were his picks for that Sunday. Oh, no kidding. He had a serious fucking problem.
Wait, is he one of these gentlemen that unfortunately died upside down? Did he die broke?
No.
Because you read those stories, like Ed McMahon, I heard they had to like sell his house because the estate was.
God, it's happened to so many.
But you're like, didn't you make $100 million?
Well, no, back,
where did it go?
Yeah.
Those guys, Ed McMahon and those guys were making absurd amounts of money.
For the day especially. And I remember hearing Ed McMahon, who would like to have a few at lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Got it into one of his renegotiations to have a limousine 24/7 for the rest of his life.
I've heard this story, and the version I've heard was because he would drive drunk, and the studio was like, if he kills somebody, we're liable. So they're like, get his ass home every day.
Yeah.
Because he would black out.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable. I mean,
yes.
Can you imagine pitching that today? They're like, look, we've got Matt Damon, we've got Affleck, but we have to get Andy Dick a car everywhere because we can't be liable for this.
Yeah.
To me, it's, yeah. So back up a little bit.
Yeah, so Matthew owed $2 million.
$2 million bucks?
But a guy like that probably did have $100 million.
Yeah, that's just the way he
And you got to feel something. I don't know if you're a gambler at all.
I played cards last night.
For a
I
whim?
was in Arizona playing cards last night.
As in, you do this all the time?
No, I was
Oh.
just when I'm on tour. If I'm near a casino, I always go to a casino.
I have a weekly cash game. I don't know why you're not involved.
Well, you're a big poker guy.
No. Well, I am, but that doesn't mean anything.
You'll drown me. You
the
guys will
game's
drown
kind of
me.
small ball, so
Okay.
that my friend nobody gets hurt.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, great.
Off
Yeah.
mic.
No, but I like to go. I'm a sucker for going to have a little bit of fun.
1-3, 5-2-5. What table are you playing?
2-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you'll fit right in.
Okay, great.
Yeah. The blinds are 5-5.
Okay, perfect.
Nobody gets hurt.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's the whole point. We just gather. It's catered. There's a masseuse. There's a regular dealer. We're just fucking off.
The caterer and the masseuse and the dealer are all the same person. It's an overwhelming gig you've bestowed upon somebody.
But he is awesome.
Rub me, flip me, feed me, hit me, baby. Go.
He loved to gamble. He told me a story that he and Fred Astaire would go to the ponies. They'd go to Hollywood Park and sometimes down to Los Alamitos. And they would always sit and watch the ponies and bet on the ponies. And he could never get Fred Astaire to swear. And Walter swore like he was going to win money if he didn't stop. But he just couldn't. And it was like really, really annoyance for him that actually ran deep, that he could never get Fred to swear.
Was Fred Astaire really like a hardcore Christian guy or something?
No, just super proper.
Yeah.
As was the day that he came from. You know,
Sure.
Those movies, those guys with the middle Atlantic accent were pretty buttoned down.
They dare not say anything they shouldn't say.
That's right, exactly. So after, I think he said 20 years of going to watch the ponies together, there's a manila envelope delivered to his house. He opens it up. It's a cassette tape, says, "Play me," puts it in, and it's Fred Astaire calling a race from the beginning. And every horse's name is a worse swear word after another. And he calls the whole race, having named maybe 7 horses with the worst swear words, most disgusting. And he calls the whole race.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I said, "You got to let me hear that. Not a chance, kid. It's in a vault."
That's locked away forever, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it.
Put
but
that thing in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
Come
or
on,
something, man.
somewhere.
Put it the
Museum,
Smithsonian or
yeah.
something like.
The Academy Museum, people would just.
I mean, that
but
kind of stuff.
He was giving me a couple of horse names, and it really, truly was disgusting. Purposely to,
Can you name
after
a few?
20 years.
We can beep it out.
Probably be tamed by today's standards.
Right.
The word was used a lot for sure.
Sure, yeah.
But
Fat Tits McGillicuddy rounding third. It's stuff like that.
yeah.
Like it wasn't like today.
Abscessed on tits, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
really,
yeah.
he went out of his way to try to be disgusting.
Yeah.
There was nothing sweet and endearing about
Yeah,
any
yeah.
of these horses.
But Fred Astaire cussing is probably
And
incredible.
calling the entire race, that was the thing. He just didn't stop.
Wow.
It was enough to just name all the horses.
Yeah.
He went right to the wire.
He went for it.
By a nose.
And how was Lemon?
Lovely, darling. Every story he or Walter would tell, there was a ridiculously famous person involved. You know, like if I'm going to tell stories, there's going to be some names dropped because I've been insanely lucky to work with a lot of famous people. But they were, so Walter would, first time I was doing off-camera lines with him, he said, kid, are you sure you don't mind doing the off-camera? No, I don't mind. All right, okay. Because just Marilyn hated it. And I thought, he's talking about Marilyn Monroe.
Jesus.
Exactly. And again, not trying to impress anybody.
No, that's how he's speaking.
That's his memory.
That's the world he knows.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not gonna pretend to be like, oh, just a couple of local theater guys that no.
Yeah. Yes.
No, that's not who he's working with.
Yeah. Yes.
He has that ability, by the way, that I always loved about comedic actors. You do it extremely well too. And I hate to group you in because I don't want to compliment you more than twice. I did say I would stop at some point. But to take your face and do a turn from it's almost like joy to heartbreak within like a half a second. And I don't know why comedians, I'm biased, but do it better than anybody I've ever seen because I think we know a pain that sometimes.
But also we studied.
Yeah.
We studied great comedic actors on
Yeah.
film, period. I think that's where I learned to act. And I think doing the impression certainly taught me how to build a character from the shoes. But I think we studied the greats, the moves, the gestures. One of the things Matthew Perry, when we worked together, could always do was the entire blackboard Michael Keaton speech in Night Shift, breaking down the word prostitute.
He would do that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we studied. I just worked with Michael Keaton and told him that and how if you were a stand-up comedian when Night Shift came out, when you were a stand-up comedian at that point and you were thinking about acting in movies, you watch that movie and you go, oh, okay, that's what you do. Because he had also done stand-up.
Well, I mean, I know he's still got his name in lights at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
People that don't know, Michael Keaton, some of the younger people may only know him in the more recent Birdman, but like...
Or Batman.
Well, the newest Batman again.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of play from that.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot of play from that.
That's wild. He was my favorite Batman. I hate to say it. I know people, that's
But he was
controversial.
also a comedic acting giant, and he would say that who he studied, who he watched on film, and Jack Lemmon was one of them. And
Right. But you can tell that we all are a little monkey see, monkey do. Comics have that. If you're a comedic actor, you can kind of tell that we peel from something else. And I'll be upfront about it. There's guys that I just inherently will steal from because I love it and I try to mimic it.
well, a riff comes to mind, and you don't even stop to think, where did this come from?
Right.
But even Woody Allen said all of his early stuff, he was lifting from Bob Hope. The whole complete lift from Bob Hope.
Right.
Just I'm taking this now.
But you also studied so much. Like a friend of mine said, his Alan Arkin is just stunning.
Yeah, well, Alan Arkin and Peter Falk together did The In-Laws, which is, for my money, the funniest comedy of all time.
But you studied a lot.
Well, what it is, it's a comedy acting clinic, that film, because the nuances, when those two are together, they're just crazy. The scene in the diner when I lose my shit completely.
I had Arkin on the old chat show, and I asked him.
It's so good. It's so subtle. It's unbelievable. The way your tongue moves sounds like his tongue. That's absurd.
I only like the nuance of doing an impression. I don't. It's so pedestrian to do Christopher Walken, for example.
Well, everybody does that.
If you Google Christopher Walken, sometime over 30,000 search answers come up. That's how pedestrian it is. There are 5 pages dedicated to Asians doing Christopher Walken on YouTube.
Right.
And they're fucking hilarious.
We own those pages, by the way.
All
My
right.
company, yeah. We're
All
making
right.
money on that.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you fucking are.
If there's an Asian doing an impression, it's under our umbrella, pal.
You wish.
Yeah.
So yeah. You're not going to see that lengthy of a search with Alan Arkin.
No.
But it is always, even when doing Christopher Walken, I'm only interested in the nuance of conversational Christopher Walken. I'm not, okay, this can be funny.
Right.
Oh, God, I want to vomit.
Yeah,
But still, when I sit here and I look at the golf clubs, the way they sit there mocking me, it's troublesome. That's what it is, troublesome. I'm only interested in the whispers.
Yes, I like that. The
Right?
simplicity. I love that.
Yeah.
I was never good at impressions like that. I could copy people, not famous people for some reason.
But you were, I was just exaggerating this sort of lift of the timing of comedic performance. You do a turn in the last episode, of the most recent episode of Dave of this recording, which is, what do we call that? Sex dance.
What do you mean?
When you break it, B&E on the
consensual,
Publicist.
non-consensual is what
There
we call
go.
it on the
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
So you do a turn in that
Yeah.
that's spot on, ridiculous, crazy.
Yeah.
From holy fuck, I got to get out of here to wait a second. Yeah, it's
I'll tell you. You want to know why I peel when I do stuff like that? From every single time, it was like the way Stiller acted in Something About Mary with her. I was always so fucking funny to me.
Oh, great.
Because he was like on the brink of total psychopath.
Yes.
But also super endearing and like very lovable. So I always, when I read scenes like that, I always think about those kind of movies that I love that were like these comedic love scenes that were kind of wacky, but sweet, but is everything okay? Because in that, the episode's out, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, the whole point is I'm so vulnerable to, she's like, just ruin me. That's what we did like 19 different takes in the office. And the first one was the R word, which obviously was never going to make it.
Right.
She said, why don't you come over and And then after that, the director came back in and was like, Santino, throw me 50 words that she can say that, because we're never going to clear that.
Nope.
So I said, annihilate, ruin, destroy, peel apart, and she was going over and over and over. And as she was saying it, I was thinking, man, she's selling the fuck out of this. She's a great actor. And I was like,
of course.
on the day, the same thing. She played it the same way, where it was like, just beat the shit out of me. She did that one take, and I broke because I was like, that's funny.
Yes.
That a girl was like, fucking throw me through a table. And
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
no, I'm not.
Yeah.
But those kind of turns, yeah, I definitely steal that. I peel it from something else. Because like you, I've said it maybe a few times, I've never taken a class.
Yeah, I'm not proud of it. It just
Me
happens
neither,
to be
actually.
a
I'm
fact.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's why I don't talk about it much because
Yeah.
I signed up for one and no shit. I went and people were loading in, you know, like they were waiting outside. And I was so intimidated looking at the humans loading in for no other reason than I just was vulnerable. And I fucking turned around and went right home.
Well, if I'm completely honest, I would add a fear of rejection to my reasons for not wanting to take a class.
Yeah, I didn't want to look stupid in
I
front
didn't
of
want to be
these
found
other people.
out. Yeah.
Right, and I didn't want to hear some kid be like, oh, I was at Steppenwolf and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I went
Yeah.
to Arizona State. I was a fucking bum.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a bum. You know,
Yeah.
I was a bum that loved comedy that just had enough nickels to make it out here. So I was like,
Sure.
I don't belong in this. These
Yeah.
guys are real theater people to me.
I remember the Improv was my room, not the Comedy Store, but
Well, because back then that was the room.
yeah, they ebb and flow.
No, but then that was the hottest place in the world.
83?
I feel like in the 80s,
Yeah.
the Improv was it.
Yeah.
Evening at the Improv, like what Bud put together. Just,
Well, I came out of San Francisco stand-up in the late 70s, early 80s, and every big time who came through that I opened up for said, you're wonderful. When you come to L.A., I'll help you get stage time with Bud at the Improv. And they did, and I you know.
Did you have a relationship with Robin or no?
Oh, yeah.
Because he was a San Francisco
No,
guy.
we're very tight, and he was in one of my HBO specials in a really funny way, and yeah, we were good friends.
Yeah.
So coming from San Francisco, you know, with the dream of being an actor, but no wherewithal to actually study. Dana Carvey was someone I came up with out of San Francisco who had come out a year before me, and so he said, you just have to learn to audition, you know? You don't really have to learn how to act. You just have to learn how to kill it
That
in
is
the
very funny.
audition.
That's just as big of a function of it.
Well, when you're a complete unknown, that's everything. If TV and film is your thing, if theater, then it's a whole other experience. So anyways, this woman saw me at the Improv do stand-up one night and afterwards said, I'm a manager and I think you could be an actor. Do you have any hopes? Yes, I do. Come to my office. Well, let's see what you got. I go to her office. She gives me a scene, sides. Go out in the outer office, memorize this as much as you can. Don't worry about getting completely off the page, but okay, great. I look at it. I think I got it. I think I understand it. I'd not been on any auditions yet. This is spanky new. And I come out and I do what I think is all I'm capable of at that point. And I finish and she looks at me and I'm immediately reading into her expression, which is she's going to take me to show business.
Yeah.
She's going to open up a back door and there's a bunch of people waiting that are going to welcome me with laughter and joy.
He's here.
Yeah. And through that staring expression, instead of that, she says, well, listen, you know, you're a really good stand-up and acting's not for everyone. So, but, you know, she's just being matter of fact.
Hey, let's call her right now.
Well, I think.
Where are you at now, Marlene? Huh? What CVS are you working at, Marlene?
I gave up on that necessity a long time ago. I just kept working.
Yeah, that's the best way to pay back those kind of things. It's like, okay.
But it was a great eye-opener at a very, very important time that told me, you're nowhere near ready for any of this. You better learn how to audition, as your friend Dana suggested, and that's what happened.
It was a valuable lesson. Then
I went on hundreds of auditions, by the way, before I got anything. Hundreds.
Yeah.
No exaggeration. Hundreds.
How did you land Casino? Casino being my literal favorite movie of all time.
Oh, wow.
Truthfully.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if it comes up before Goodfellas, it lands as Marty's masterpiece. But
I think it's there's only one thing that bothers me about it. Do you know the scene? Everybody jokes about it.
Golly.
What's the one visual thing that you're like, ugh, fuck, I don't like that. You don't know?
Eyeball popping?
No,
In the
actually.
Vice?
No, not bad.
I don't know.
The car. The bomb in the car. You see the dummy swap. And it's,
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I hate it.
Sure. Well, it's 1994.
I know, but it's like, he's so smart. Why wouldn't you shoot that in a way where you barely see it?
It's all in post, and it was the best they had in 1994.
I'm gonna call him. I owe him a call to fix some of that stuff.
Good for you. He's waiting in my car.
Yeah, so you keep him in the car.
Yeah.
Marty's just sitting in the front seat.
Yeah.
where are we going?
Yeah.
No, I mean, the movie is, and my editor's got to blank this out, but my favorite scene by a landslide is when he's like, do you know he insulted Billy? He called me he told me to go fuck myself.
Yeah.
The way he goes, do you call my friend
Yeah.
You told him to go fuck himself?
Yeah.
The way he does it when he beats him with the phone, I could watch 1,000 times. And on a plane, I've watched it on my iPad and been to my wife like, and she's like, I know. She's like, she knows how much I like it. And I'm like, it's so good. It's so good and powerful in that structure that's created. Anyway, tell me how you got Casino. We can
It's
dive
obnoxious.
Tell me what they just called you. And Marty was like, you're in.
It's worse. It's more obnoxious than that. Yeah. I'm on the set of Usual Suspects, and my agent calls and says,
Phenomenal, by the way.
You've been offered Martin Scorsese's next film that takes place in Vegas, written by Nick Pileggi, who wrote Goodfellas. And I said, you can stop talking. Fuck. The answer is yes. He said, well,
well, they want to pay you $50 million.
No, nothing. Nothing.
No, nothing.
Yeah, coffee and donuts. I mean, it's all relative. It's a lot of money, but it was not.
No. I know.
Yeah. So, but he says the ritual with Marty, as you'll be forced to call him, and Bob, go fuck yourself. Never called either one of them those names.
Yeah, Mr. Scorsese,
fuck
probably.
me.
Yeah.
The thing with Marty and Bob is you have to have a sit with each of them separately. It's just a ritual if you're in the main cast and you're not Sharon Stone. I said, okay, yeah, no, I'm happy to do that. But is it an audition? No, just go sit. You'd have a little sit with each of them. It's nothing. I said, oh, so they just want to make sure I'm not an asshole and I'm not going to be a sycophant. Chris Farley's character in that Saturday Night Live sketch.
Right.
So I said,
you remember when you remember?
Yeah. I said, I can do that. I can withhold from my real feelings. So the first meeting is with De Niro. It's in a bungalow at the Bel Air Hotel, which is a sprawling series of bungalows in the foothills of Bel Air, one of the richest communities in the world. And I get out of my car and I'm met in the lobby by Don Rickles, who also has to have a sit with De Niro, and the casting director, Ellen Lewis. And she says, okay, I'm going to walk you into, I'm going to go check to see if he's ready, and I'm going to walk you to the bungalow, and, basically don't say anything. I said, oh, I'm not going to speak.
Sit and stare, kid.
Oh, I'm not going to speak. But now I'm in full face and hair of The Usual Suspects, which is a lot of facial hair, unkept, ridiculous hair. Nothing like, back in the 90s when I had hair, nothing like the Mr. Impeccable who I'm going to play in Casino.
Right.
So I was so fucking stupid, I brought an 8x10 of myself to show I don't normally look like this. And I was going to hold it in front of my face when he opened the door.
This is me normally.
Yeah. That's how intimidated I am. And then I thought, wait a minute, didn't your agent say don't fuck this up?
Yeah.
So I left the picture in the car.
Smart.
So Ellen says, let me go check. And then I sit with Rickles, and Rickles tells me that, by the way, the most enjoyable part of the whole experience by a million miles
was Don.
Is hanging out with Rickles.
Yeah.
The two Jew comics on the set oh, fuck. He's the hero for me.
Yeah.
And he tells me during this sit that he knows he owns De Niro. What do you mean? No, he tells me. When De Niro grew up, he was part of the doo-wop group, peer group on the street corners of New York. And it was a put-down group or a doo-wop group. Sorry, he was in the put-down group. De Niro was in the put-down group. Your mother this, your mother that. I think they called it running the numbers, a couple of different names for it. But to those guys in that corner, that peer group, Rickles was in fact God.
Yeah.
And Rickles tells me he knows this about De Niro, that he worships him. And Rickles says, you are not going to believe how I'm going to demolish this guy on the set. And I don't know if he's saying this to make me laugh.
Yeah, well, it's working.
It's the funniest thing I've ever heard, and I can't wait. As long as I don't fuck up these two sits. So Ellen comes back, walks me this long, woodsy, Sleepy Hollow pathway to the bungalow. And I guess Bob was in between films and had been for quite a while.
Yeah. Because
the door opens, and I'm looking at Mr. Burns from the Howard Hughes episode. I said, hop in. I don't know if you're a Simpsons fan.
I am.
But that's a reference for a lot
I
of
got
people.
it.
Yeah. So the flowing beard, the crazy hair, I don't know about urine and jars and whatnot, but he's let himself go. And every drape inside this $6 million a day bungalow is closed. It's a fucking tomb. And I'm worried about what I look like. So he just, sort of waves at me to come in, and then he walks back into the room and Ellen smiles at me, eyes wide open.
Is it in shambles like he's been boozing?
It's too dark to know. It's too dark to know.
Right.
I can't see really anything.
Something happened in there.
No, not boozing. Just, and he was sober as a church mouse, but it just had physically let himself go. Was not interested in being kept for anyone.
Sure.
And I don't know why to this day. Never asked. Wasn't my business. Leave the man alone.
Yeah.
So as we're getting to the chairs that are seated across from each other inside one of the rooms of this sprawling bungalow that I can barely see, he says, "Can I get you anything? You need anything?" I said, "No, thank you. Thank you. No, I'm okay." All right, we'll have a sit. Okay, and I sit down, and as we sit, he says, "Okay, so sure I can't get you anything?" "No, I'm fine, sir. Thank you. No." "All right, just want to make sure, because, I just want to say hello, see how you doing." "How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you." "Okay, all right. So, you need anything, really?" "Nope. Honestly, I could order a sandwich and get you a thing." "Nope. Thank you very much. I don't need anything." "Okay, all right. So I just want to meet, say hello." That, what I just shared, happened about 4 more times, changing very little each time,
Same thing. You need anything?
before I was allowed to leave. But that was the complete context of the experience.
Yeah.
Nothing varied, nothing changed. He just kept saying either, "I just wanted to say hello," or "Can I get you anything? You sure I can't get you anything?" That was it, with pauses in between, long pauses, where I did not feel the dead air.
No, you let it sit.
I was not there to speak.
Do you imagine that was a tactic by De Niro to see if you would?
I was convinced at the time. I still have no idea because I never asked him about it later.
My gut says yes.
Yeah, my gut at the time was 100%. Yeah, don't fill any of this in.
Because he's testing you to see.
He's giving me every opportunity to be an asshole.
Yeah. And also
to try to be funny, to try to entertain him.
Right.
Maybe he heard I did impressions. I'm going to mock him. He's waiting for
I think he wants to feel you as a guy to go, okay, look, I'm going to be this big dick guy in this movie.
Yeah.
This guy's going to be this guy I puppet around rudely.
Right.
How does this act and how does he feel when I talk to him like a regular guy, but I let him sit with things? I think he wanted to check to see if you were going to, get vulnerable or get moody or, kind of jump the gun a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I wondered during and ever since, coming up on 30 years, could I have said a little bit more?
No, I don't think you should have. I think it worked great.
Not even to be charming, but just to be a person.
Sure.
Because I do look back on my part of the experience. What he was looking at was not terribly impressive. Other than, okay, this guy's just minding his P's and Q's. He's not taking any chances, and I have to respect that.
I think he probably liked you for it.
Well,
I think we'd have a different movie if you went in that room and said some dumb shit.
Well,
you'd have been somebody else.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then I left, and she said, "How'd it go?" I said, "I have no idea." And I meant it. She said, he basically said, "Have a sit, can I get you anything?" And I just wanted to say hello 6 times. And I said, "Yeah." She said, "That's pretty much it." I said, "Great."
She's like,
she
"You
said,
hit a
"Did
home
you
run."
say anything each time?" I said, "No, I didn't." I responded politely, "I'm fine." And she said, "Perfect. Let's go."
Perfect.
And we went back to the lobby. I said goodbye to Don. He said, "What can you tell me? Anything happened?" I said, "Just be yourself, Don. No one's going to tell you what to do in any room."
Right.
And I have no idea to this day what he did in his sit down. But
I can
again,
only
De
imagine.
Niro worshipped him, so he could have done anything. "You want to open a window, Bob?"
Yeah.
Yeah. How about a drape?
Air it out in here.
Yeah. Oh, I would give anything for that recording.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Because he would go after De Niro on set in front of everyone.
Right. So I feel
filming.
like I've heard this before, that he was shitting on people all the time anyway, but especially on Casino because, quite frankly, I don't think people know.
He didn't care.
He didn't give a shit about them.
Also, he knows this guy that worshipped him as a kid, and he wants to enjoy that. His experience is going to be most enjoyed by giving shit to this arguably greatest actor of his generation and having him weep in tears with laughter.
Mm-hmm.
That's Don's version of it was fun. I had a good time.
That's the win.
And that's what happened.
I heard a
Pesci,
rumor
on
that,
the other hand, not so much.
Why?
Did not enjoy it. Did not enjoy the ribbing.
Oh, didn't want
Did
Rickles
not
to
have
talk
a sense
shit.
of humor about it at all.
Oh.
Especially didn't appreciate when Rickles pointed out that Joe was so short, he was going to ride him around the set like a Shetland pony. Now, He did this in front of 200 extras on the wedding scene. And I laughed. A lot of people laughed. And Pesci, now I get it. I'm a midget and you're a genius. Go fuck yourself. And he was pissed all the way back to his trailer, mumbling to him, that Jew prick cocksucker, fuck him. I said, hey, Joe, yeah, you another one. The two of you go fuck yourself. I don't know how much of that you can air, but...
no, it's great.
But yeah, he did not appreciate it.
In here, we pour whiskey.
This episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by BetterHelp. I've spoken so much about BetterHelp on this show, and that's because I am a big believer in therapy and speaking to someone, no matter what you're going through in life. Turns out a lot of us are going through something. Why not give it a try? My favorite thing about BetterHelp truly is it's cheaper than in-person therapy, which costs you money and time because you got to drive somewhere, find parking, and then you got to go wait in a waiting room with a bunch of other people. And sometimes you want just a little bit more quiet time for yourself, a little bit more intimacy with the person that you're speaking to. And what better place to do it than the comfort of your own home, which is what I love because I like sitting on my couch and speaking to a therapist instead of going to a location. It's helped me through a lot of weird, tough times. And I like to do it when I'm on the road because I'm traveling around and I have no home base. When I'm on the road, I feel a little bit loose and disconnected, and BetterHelp is one of those things where I feel a little bit more at ease when I get to talk to somebody. If you're thinking about starting therapy, why not give BetterHelp a try? It's entirely done online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map, my friends, with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/whiskey today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/whiskey. This episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about Am I going to get sued for using that? Guys, remember the days when you were always ready to go? You were ready to rev. The engine was always warm. Well, now it's a little bit tougher to turn that thing over, all right? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. BlueChew.com has got it for you. It's a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. A lot of people have heard about Blue Chew. You know what it does. Gets a little bit more blood flow to the boys downstairs in the basement. Huh? They're a little dormant sometimes. You got to wake them up, shake them up. Process is simple. By the way, sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. It's all done online, man. You don't got to go anywhere. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at a pharmacy. So many men suffer from this problem. It's not a big deal. You want a little bit more juice for the boost, my friends. It definitely works. I know it myself. I've tried it. Boy, oh boy. Gets the old red rocket running hot and heavy. You got to give it a try. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover all your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it, my friends. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code WHISKEY at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. That ain't nothing, man. You paid more than that for coffee. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code is whiskey. BlueChew.com. Promo code whiskey to receive your first month for free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And I want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Ginger. I like gingers.
He doesn't like that stuff.
Yep.
I think some people really love it.
Sure.
Some people are like, that's not for me, man.
Yeah, I get it too, by the way. I get
But
it.
De Niro took it and loved it.
Loved.
more.
I'm telling you, Rickles in the middle of a take. The two of them, casino floor. Rickles standing next to him, basically doing nothing. De Niro acting brilliantly, doing the scene.
Yeah.
Casino floor, hundreds of extras, cameras rolling. De Niro, acting beautifully, middle of the take. Rickles would just break and turn on him and go, "Is that the way you're going to do it? Like that?" No, you got the awards. I'm sure you know what you're doing. Go ahead. I mean,
And De Niro liked it.
his shoulders went up and he.
Yeah.
He wept with tears of laughter every single time.
God, I love to hear it.
And Rickles just went after him every day. Yeah. So the other sit was with Marty to finish the story.
Mr. Scorcese,
Of the two sets.
Yes.
And it was the photo opposite. I didn't have any opportunity to speak. It was in his trailer on the set of a commercial or something he was shooting. And he talked for 90 minutes and I listened and it was joyous.
Wonderful.
He was given a lecture about the history of Las Vegas and film, and I could not believe he wasn't going to stop till he decided our time was up. And it was just exceptional. I mean, I couldn't even remember 9/10 of it. It was just rat-a-tat-tat, nonstop, no breathers, everything. And Nick was writing the book first, and I said, "What the fuck are you doing? Put the book down. You know, write the screenplay." And a book eventually came out. I think it's called The Enforcer. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
About Spalazzo, Nicky. And, but yeah, so that was extraordinary. And then again, I didn't speak because Marty wasn't interested. And then, yeah.
That was that. What about Sharon Stone? Did you have any relationship with her?
She was lovely. I don't think I knew her beforehand. Do you know the famous poker game in town, Norby Walters, the horrible 1-2 game?
No.
So he would gather the most eclectic, famous show business people, you know, Don Adams, a ridiculous list of. And so one night at one of those, Sharon Stone dealt me in 7-stud a royal flush. And Norby Walters, an old-time manager who represented Bobby Darin, stops the games, arms up in the air, and yells, "That's it, stop the game." He takes a photo of the hand, puts it on the wall. It only happened 3 times in the whatever many-decade history of the thing.
She dealt it to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
This will be fun for you. Don Adams was about, I don't know about you, but for me in my youth, Get Smart was
Get Smart was great.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
You know, it's Mel Brooks, it's Buck Henry, it's the geniuses behind it. And Don Adams started as a stand-up. And so he's about an hour late to this game. And I'm telling you, it's Sid Caesar and it's Charles Durning, and it's just a ridiculous fucking gathering. And he's walking in. It must have been 6 months before his death because he's walking in so slow, you just want to call for an ambulance. It's going to take him 15 minutes to get to the table from the
Wheel
door.
him in.
Yep. But he's walking on his own. And Sharon Stone, who's sitting next to me, we had already done Casino, reaches under and pinches my arm and says, "You don't understand. My production company name is Chaos. I've worshipped this man from the moment I saw him." He finally sits down. He speaks almost never. It's dealer's choice, so the deal rotates around. And it's just kibitzing. It's nonstop kibitzing, storytelling. Yeah. And at the end, maybe 2 more hours, Eric Roberts announces, "I got an early flight to JFK. I gotta go. So sorry, everybody." And he goes on the back of the seat and kisses everybody in the forehead and walks out. About 20 minutes later, it's time for Don Adams to deal. And he stands up, which takes a minute, and he deals slower than anyone ever has while standing. And halfway around this dealing, he says in total silence, "Is it just me, or is Eric actually better looking than his sister?" And I'm thinking, are you fucking kidding me? How long? You sat on that for 2 hours. 2 hours. And what a deep dive stand-up comedian, pure of heart way of saying, man, that guy's good looking.
Yeah, he's so hot. Yeah.
That's the way.
Yeah,
it's the most stand-up comedian's brain, in terms of joke design. I'm going to get these fuckers. I'm going to make a joke about, I think Eric Roberts is funny. How should I? You know what I mean? Took 2 hours to craft it, stood up, and just laid everybody out.
Level the room.
And also, again, he hadn't spoken, so nobody saw that coming.
Right. Do you still touch stand-up or no? Is it something that...
Yeah, I did a gig last week in the Philadelphia area.
Do you love it as much as you always did or no?
Yes. Yeah, I did
because you took time away.
Yeah, I did a documentary, which I would recommend. You should have been in it, clearly. We just didn't know each other.
That's okay.
It's called Misery Loves Comedy.
Yeah.
The premise being you have to be miserable to be funny. Where I talk to, it's a Talking Heads documentary, but it's 60 annoyingly famous funny people talking about making people laugh and what that means. And all the chapters of, Bombs Away, Who's Your Daddy and or Mommy, all the things that a comic goes through.
Right.
And all the aspects of what that means and how, and one of the things, the reason I brought it up actually is it comes through that all of our most comfortable place in the world is on stage doing stand-up because, many reasons, but I think one of the main reasons is it's the only place in our lives where we have control. Even when it seems like there isn't control, we have control. If you know what you're doing, you've been at it a while, you are completely and utterly at the reins of this ride. The audience is going to dictate tempo, and your energy flow maybe comes from them. If they're spiky and what have you, they've never met before. This group of people, they didn't come to rehearsal. They're doing very well as a group, but a boxer has people in his corner. I've always likened it to a prize fighter. We got people in our corner, but when we step in the ring, we live and die moment by moment.
Yeah.
And we are thriving on instincts and experience. So it's the most in control. You know the story of how you're sick off stage, you walk on stage, the endorphin flies, and you're suddenly
feel
well.
good again.
And you get off stage and you're immediately sick again. So all those reasons, and it's my first love. I'm doing it since I'm 10. So yeah, I fucking love it. But I never wanted it to feel like a job, even when it was my only job. When a lot of guys would go out for 6 weeks or whatever, I still would do every other weekend or something. I did the road pretty extensively from like 22 to 30. But again, every other weekend, never out for a period of time. But I do love it. I'll stay away from it for a period of time just to miss it terribly. This last time I stayed away because of the Mrs. Maisel production schedule. I stayed away too long, and so when I had this gig, I was like, fuck, man, I need to take a look at the notes of the last 6 gigs I did and figure out what the fuck I'm going to do.
Maisel's a great show, by the way. It was the version of a show that we wanted to try to do that worked, that our show didn't. We did this I'm Dying Up Here on Showtime and about the world of stand-up.
Sure.
It was just so tough. It's just such a tough world as a stand-up, too, because everybody had a gun pointed at us. It was like, oh, you're doing a movie about a show about stand-up?
Yeah.
And it was tough. It was
Didn't
really
that one
tough.
come from a book or something? Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And Jim Carrey produced it. And it was tough, man. Those things are tough. But
So
like what you guys found, the thing you found was
fiction, first of all.
well, but also based on so many real people. I think that's an amalgamation of.
Yeah, but I think you guys were
too
tethered
we were
to
too literal. Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
And a history so far removed that only stand-up comedians kind of cared about.
Sure.
And those stand-up comedians were going to be your worst critics.
Well, you
So
rooted
were-
for nobody on our show.
And
that was the problem.
Yeah, because comedians are assholes.
Yeah,
basically.
so we told a great to be truthful. British fans fucking love the show,
Of course.
because they're like,
Of course.
I didn't need a fucking superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah. And American audiences really do love that, and I understand it because I agree with it as well.
Yeah.
But you have heroes on your show, people you want to fucking see win.
Well-
and our show, you're like, I don't give a shit if all these people fail out of nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, fuck them. I think.
I mean, listen, I've been crazy lucky to be involved in a couple of absolute lightning in a bottle situations.
I think a lot, if I'm being honest.
Well, I'd rather you say it.
I think your whole fucking career has been, you made so many bangers. It's almost like even if you fucked up a ton, it'll never be known.
Well, yeah.
Because the fuck ups weren't that bad.
Not that many people see the fuck ups also.
But some people do fuck ups and it ruins some of their good shit.
Sure, but that's also the joy of the character actor. I never had the responsibility of selling a single ticket. So my career is on to the next
It's
one.
not on your shoulders.
Never. So the glory and the credit and the blame is going to be the other guys.
Yeah, put it on those guys.
Or women. So, but I meant lightning in a bottle, like when I say obviously Usual Suspects is lightning in a bottle because none of those people were really famous at the time. And people ask me for further proof. I say you needn't look any further than the fact that Stephen Baldwin is great in the movie.
Yeah.
If you want to know what kind of lightning in a bottle this is, there's your litmus right there.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
He is so
and then
good.
we're done.
Yeah.
But the Maisel was firing on every cylinder. Every department head is a savant genius at filmmaking, the production designer, the wardrobe, the cinematographer.
There's one idiot.
Beat Game of Thrones in its last fucking season. You know what I mean? It's bonkers.
Right.
So, yeah, sure, everyone's going to have a couple idiots. But
Yeah.
I'm saying as a working experience of all the ones over the last 40 years, the deck was stacked beyond belief.
Yeah, you're in a good position.
And those writers are redonk. And there's almost no reality that we have to simulate other than when they feel like it. So not being tethered to that. And also a period piece, so you could really be beautiful. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, export entertainment-wise from America to India in history. And I think it's the Bollywood connection because of the dancing and the singing and the colors and the palette and the thing and the family.
Right.
It's this worldwide, ridiculous, fucking zeitgeist, bonkersville kind of thing. So it's beyond explanation, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't in the pilot. I started episode 2 after the fucking thing had been picked up to 2 seasons after pilot, which had happened once. And I remember talking to Tony Shalhoub day 1, who I'd never met, believe it or not, because you either hire him or me.
Can't get 2 Shalhoubs,
no,
man.
You're not getting 2 Shalhoubs. And I asked him, you know, because we're shooting the first season. No one had seen anything but the pilot. And I said, you know, what do you think? And he goes, I think most of the Jews on the Upper West Side will like the show. Not even all of them.
Yeah.
So
depends how far you go.
yeah, so it's just bonkers why this travels the way it does through every age group, through every background and denomination and what have
Yeah,
you.
it worked.
It's bonkers.
And I think I have such a crush on from a performance crush standpoint on Borstein. I think Alex is like I think she's one of the
a
greatest.
true savant. And she gets to do dramatic nuances that
Yeah.
someone with those comedy chops almost never gets.
Have you ever seen the show Getting On?
Sure.
I've plugged it on here a million times.
That's her favorite.
That's my fucking favorite.
Yeah.
It was one of those times when a British show is peeled here and we beat it by a mile. I think the American version that they made with Niecy Nash and it's Lori Metcalf. It's leaps and bounds better than the original, I think. But also, I think because she's so
She said it was her
fucking
favorite
good.
acting job.
Well,
ever. I
if
mean,
you
she
ever
won
speak
all
to
of
her, tell her I fucking love her, and I think it's just she's one of those people like you, where you're like, man, you chameleon through a bunch of fucking great stuff. That to me is the ultimate goal. And then you did Willow, which is hilarious to me. That's insane. And Warwick is the same age somehow.
Yeah.
Fucking, they put him in like a timeless vault.
I don't know how much crossover there is before we go on to Willow on the Maisel front. How much crossover there is on your audience and the Maisel audience, but
enough.
Based on the date of this episode of yours dropping, I will break a news flash.
Do it
Right here, my Mrs. Maisel pod. I've already recorded 30 episodes, and
what is it called?
My Mrs. Maisel pod.
My Mrs. Maisel pod.
Yeah, get it wherever you get podcasts. Yeah.
Is it only audio or are you shooting it as well?
Just audio, but it's an episode breakdown, rewatch.
Awesome.
And actors, directors, writers, cinematographer, wardrobe, all the savants that made this thing magical. We break down the insights and back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I saw, I was hip to the fact that there were a couple of fan-based, fan-created podcasts. And so while we were shooting the last season, I thought, I think people are going to not really want this thing to end, and I think they're not going to be able to really let go.
Yeah.
The fan base that we've been meeting over the years. And so, yeah, very excited. My Mrs. Maisel pod.
My Mrs. Maisel pod. Go listen to that after this. Was it your idea or their idea?
Mine.
You were like, I want to do this, and they tipped the hat to you.
Not even sanctioned by Amazon.
Well, what are they going to do? Come get me, Bezos.
Well, I'm done working for them. And my agent said, are you sure? And I said, even if I am really done working for them, I had a hell of a run, a historical run.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
I don't need any more Bezos money. I'd like more.
Nah, give me some more money, Jeff.
I'll be fine.
I just did an Amazon movie, and it's so funny. They were like, oh, it might come out in theaters. And I was like, oh, really? And they're like, we have no idea. I'm like, does anybody talk? I don't think anybody over there is. I think it's like, that's such a big company that they're like, yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess.
We loved you in Charlie's movie, by the way. We just saw it 2 days ago.
Oh, really? Yeah? I haven't seen the newest Cup.
You pop beautifely.
Yeah, Charlie Day has a new movie out, by the way.
That he's just wonderful.
I love him so much. And Ken is so funny, man.
He's Charlie's just a masterful filmmaker, and that's really the calling card of that.
That's why he got so many people that really wanted to do it.
Sure.
It's a pretty good testament to your to your friend's faith when you get so many huge people to be a part of something.
Yeah, he did and deserved, and everyone loved.
Why can't I think? Fool's Paradise, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Fool's Paradise. I digress so many times, but there was years ago, I had heard that you had a secret bowling league. Is that true?
Not true.
Were you ever a part of some kind of bowling league?
I wouldn't call it a league. I was part of a bowling gathering. I'm not a great bowler.
Somebody said it was a secret cabal where you guys sacrificed children.
Well, that part's true. I'm sorry. I thought you wanted to know about the bowling.
That's pre-party?
Yeah, no,
There was always a rumor because I love bowling, and people were always like, you know, Pollak's has this.
What?
I swear to God.
That's
in the comedy community, people would
bonkers.
talk about it, and
Maybe I shouldn't kibosh this. Maybe I should just let the story go on.
Well, I went one time
I mean, we killed kids.
You did?
For sure.
Well, did they deserve it?
Most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them. They're pricks.
But it was at the Hollywood or the Roosevelt or whatever. Yes.
There's a single lane?
2 lanes.
2 lanes.
And I went one night as a friend of someone.
But I was just invited. I was not in charge of that fucking
thing. I feel like that. Now, let's just say it was yours.
Yep. It was,
wasn't
it? was mine.
But you're not a good bowler.
I love to bowl, but I'm not a good bowler. My Jamie, her name is Jamie. My better half, Jamie, and I have been together 15 years. She's considerably younger. I raised her as one of my own. She was corn-fed.
Free range?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please. We love to bowl, and if we hit like a 150, we're excited beyond the moon. But we wanted to be at least conscious of what was happening, so we took lessons. And the first thing at the lesson says you got to have your own ball, you got to have your own shoes. So we have our own ball, we have our own shoes, and so people think, ooh, these people must know what they're doing. We don't. We love it.
Yeah, me too.
Truly.
Yeah, me too.
And it's one of the few things where I don't need to score well. I just need to do it.
Yeah, I just want to do it.
I just need to do it.
2 things that came to my mind. One, it's amazing that you're such a seasoned, talented actor who's never taken a lesson, but you have taken bowling lessons, which is fucking hysterical to me.
Well, I cared.
I know, I love it so much. It's awesome. And 2, there is something about the guy who shows up with his own ball immediately earns such a higher level of, oh, well, this guy must be something special. Even if you're fucking around, they're like, he must be just goofing around.
I instantly bring a disclaimer.
You say,
because I'm afraid of those moments. I'm afraid of that alleged intimidation. I make it crystal clear. We took lessons. We were told to buy our ball and our shoes. We don't know what we're doing.
But still,
I've had some turkeys in my day.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I have.
What's the highest score you've dropped?
Not impressive at all. Truly not.
No.
180. It's just not impressive at all in any
I love to roll me some stones, man.
Well, I'm sure. I feel like you're not only athletic, but a competitor and a natural. At any sport you decide, I'm going to get good at.
I'm pretty good at it. Yeah. Bowling and bar games. Coming from Chicago.
You've hit 250.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, I have. Yeah. A couple of times. Coming from Chicago, it's almost like the only thing we love is indoor skill set games because most of the year you got to be inside.
Makes sense.
So darts, shuffleboard, pool. I'm not great at pool, but I love pool, bowling. All that stuff is like, I love knick-knacky bar games.
Sure.
Anything you can have a drink and also participate in, I think is heaven on earth.
I get it.
Because it has 7 months indoors, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even when it starts to get nice, it fucking rains again.
That's right.
It's like my dad, my parents are just like, oh, it's beautiful here. Tomorrow they're like, fucking Chicago. It's miserable, you know? But also that's why.
Chicago was the first city I went to, I think, when I heard a local say, if you don't like the weather, wait 20 minutes.
It does feel like you can get a good shift, but then when it's bad, it's because they might be saying, wait 20 minutes, it's going to get fucking way worse.
Yeah. I've only felt more intense when at a very specific corner in Winnipeg, which is known world over as the windiest, coldest corner in North America.
Winnipeg. I've never been. I've been all over Canada, but I've never been to Winnipeg.
I wrote about it in my book, How I Slept My Way to the Middle. It's the coldest I've ever been. To this day, in fact, if I get a script and it opens with exterior night, that's a hard pass.
Dude, I know. That's so funny. I just read something today on the plane, and I don't want to say, but the first scene was a thing where I go, I don't want to fucking shoot that. Like immediately I think of like, am I going to be wet and cold? No, I don't want to fucking be in a pond in the middle. Like immediately my first thought, I like almost like put down my iPad like, well, I don't want to do that. How can they get around me?
I tried to talk myself out of on a Zoom meeting with a writer-director with this very sort of situation on this other script. And she said, we're shooting night for day now, or day for night.
Day for night, yeah.
So you don't have to worry about it.
Great.
We'll be in a garage, not outside.
Great.
I said, oh, let's keep talking.
Yeah. Add more elements. We did, in this movie I just did, they were like, we have to go in this pond. And the scene we're shooting is, we're like cleaning up waste or whatever. It's like it's a montage scene. And
So no dialogue?
no.
That's helpful.
I know. But they mic packed us and they wrapped them in condoms just in case you pick something up. You know, like the lovely sound guys are always like, just in case. And you're like, this they won't even use this fucking shot. I promise. So of course we get in there and I turned to one of the actors and I was like, do you think anybody like tested this pond water to make sure like we should be in this? And they were like, yeah, did anybody make sure like this is okay
Were you in
for us to
Hoboken?
be
Where
in
the
this?
fuck were you? That you were worried
We were in
about
Australia, down in Australia.
Oh.
Yeah, we were down in
Well,
Australia.
there were creatures in that water that could have killed you.
That's
in
what I
9
meant. I was like,
seconds.
did anybody test to make sure this is like a safe place for us to be? And I wasn't worried about like, I was like, is this okay? And then of course, one of the guys was like, nah, mate, you're fine.
Yeah,
I was like, who's that guy?
yeah.
And they were like, I think he's one of the,
Dundee's grandchild.
yeah, I think he's one of the managers of the property. I was like,
Oh.
oh yeah, sure. Okay.
He's selling tours.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy who we paid to be here.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be like, nah, everything's all right.
My first movie where I felt I was being invited into the actual world of acting is Barry Levinson's Jew saga called Avalon.
And it's actually called Barry Levinson's Jew Saga Avalon.
on the one sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I found out working on it that Barry is one of the funniest people ever and started as a stand-up comedian. Him and Craig T. Nelson were a comedy team.
Craig T. Nelson did stand up?
They were a comedy team in the 60s coffee houses.
Holy shit.
And he told me the funniest fucking bit they did and remind me to come back to the moment when I'm Barry Levinson is one of the funniest people.
Yeah.
And his take on Australia.
Okay.
And so he and Craig T. Nelson in the 60s coffee houses where, you know, it's a lot of acoustic duos and a comedian here and there, beat poet, like in The Gaslight in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
And so Craig T. and Barry were just so off-put by these self-involved, self-loving acoustic guitar acts that just drove them fucking crazy, the self-important bullshit. And their lyrics were garbage. So they said, let's go out as a acoustic guitar act. No one knows who we are.
Right.
We'll just now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Barry and Craig. And we went out and we had acoustic guitars. Very sincere. Hi, folks. Nice to be here. We'd like to play a new song for you. It's called Tonight I Love You. Hope you enjoy. And they look at each other and they tune up. Ding, 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 ding. And they both address the mics. And they open their mouths. And then they stop and look back at each other. Ding, 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 ding. And they tune up for 9 minutes. They just do that for 9 minutes.
Nothing comes
And he
out.
said the first 3 minutes, the audience laughed as if it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen in their lives.
Yeah.
The middle 3 minutes, they wanted to set us on fire.
Yes.
They absolutely hated us.
But that last three, baby.
We would stare at each other during the middle 3. One of us was about to crack like, I can't get to that last third, man.
You got it.
They're going to kill us.
Yeah.
And they just hung in there. And then that last third came back around, and you're the funniest people who ever lived.
That
This
is
was
brilliant.
still going on.
Yeah, that's so brilliant.
Yeah. So his take on Australia, he was
Yeah.
funny every day on the set. Like I was doing a lot of Lettermans back then, and I remember I had one coming up, and he would just say shit like, I think I may have figured out a way to save the Coca-Cola bottling company $500 million. So what are you talking about? Well, and we're in director chairs waiting for the lighting change, right? Well, and my son, Jack, he's 5. We're walking down the supermarket aisle, and my 5-year-old son says, "Hey, Dad, I want Diet Coke." I said, "Diet Coke? Why do you want Diet Coke? You're 5." He said, No, it's less than a calorie, so I want Diet Coke. This is some bullshit he heard on television. So no one gives a shit that it's less than 1 calorie. Just save the paint that it takes to paint the cans and the 2 words less than. Just commit to the 1 calorie. You're going to sell as many fucking Diet Cokes as you are with less than. Just don't paint less than. There you go. You're welcome. $500 million. I mean, just shit like that every day. And I would go, I'm doing Letterman. Give me that fucking bit. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. So one day he says, Australia, you ever been? No, don't go. Everything will kill you. Everything over there. They got a snake that can outrun a cheetah. Kill you. They got a spider that'll crawl inside your brain and suck it out. There's a host beetle that gets picked up by a rat and carried around for 16 years and finally gives birth to an orangutan. It'll kill you. You know, just endless.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Hated Australia.
Oh, fuck.
Philly, right? Philly guy?
Close, Baltimore.
Baltimore. Yeah,
Yeah.
Baltimore.
Balmer.
Yeah, Baltimore.
Yeah.
I loved Australia.
Well, of course.
I fucking loved it. But also, there was all that stuff. Friends were like, what are spiders? I've heard of the size of notebooks. And you get out there and just as you suspected, you see fucking none of that stuff.
Yeah.
I golfed every day. We had one day off. You know, every day I could sneak a day off. I would dip out.
He means every week. When he says every day we had a day off, he means
every day I had a day off. I barely was in the fucking movie. No, but we would shoot 6 days a week, which was kind of a bummer because you were like, I got to sneak one day to go drive far to get a course, then come back. And every time I was like, okay, I'm out in the thing. I'm bound to see some shit.
Yeah, if this is where the crocodiles are coming,
I'm seeing
it's
them.
out on the fairway.
Nothing.
Didn't see a one.
Kangaroos you see everywhere, and they can't fucking stand them.
Not a single one can box.
No, I tried. I fought 3-4 of them. They fucking knocked them out. They stink, and everybody hates them. It's funny. We think they're like cute down there. They're like they outnumber Australians 3-1, which is comical.
Holy fuck!
They're everywhere, and also
I mean, there's a lot more landmass than people.
I ate them.
Sure, you did.
And people back here are like, "What?" And you're like, "No. Nobody eats it there. It's almost like there's a liquor in Chicago called Malort. Are you familiar with Malort?
I've heard of it.
Malort is something we give to people kind of as a welcome to Chicago, fuck you.
Oh.
It's awful.
Sure.
It's atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
It tastes like pine needles rotted inside of a vat of like acid and somebody pissed in it. And
at the last second.
Yes. And that's kind of what Kangaroo was there, that they were like, no, you got to try it, mate. And you do. And it's gamey. And I actually kind of didn't mind it. But I learned that was kind of them being like, oh, yeah, you got to get Kangaroo. But nobody really eats it. But they have it available at a lot of places.
Interesting.
Almost as like I don't know, it's kind of like how Wisconsin has to put on 8 ounces of cheese on everything.
No matter what.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Like it has to exist. But
yeah.
But I enjoyed it a lot. I just didn't find any of these weird, threatening things. I kind of wanted to see some crazy shit. Nothing. Not one
And
thing.
the animal rights movement towards Save the Kangaroo in Australia is pretty much...
They killed all those people off. Well, you know what's it's so funny that you know why there's so many of these fucking things? Because there are no predators. That's why the dodo bird lasted another 1,000 years. It should have died like 10,000 years ago. There's nothing there to kill these things.
Except for us.
And multiple times people have brought animals in to kill things, and then they get rid of those.
Yeah.
But it's like, just let them kill off some shit.
Yeah.
Like we went to the March of the Penguins down there where they come on the beach, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
There's no wolves or anything. There's nothing to fucking snag them. And I hate to say it, but once in a while, it'd be nice to see a wolf just,
take one out.
get in there. Yeah, that's
Mix it up.
Yeah, that's how I'm.
You love bowling.
Yes.
You get the concept.
Yeah, I know. I heard it. Take it out. Kill. It's tiny. Hit it. It's golf. It's small. Hit it. I have to hit whatever's tiny, low to the ground. I have to hit. 2 things.
Yep.
One, I want to thank you very graciously for coming on this show. You're wonderful. I did see you that night that I went to the bowling alley, and I didn't say anything to you.
You did see me.
You were there. Yeah, you were there that night. This was years ago.
Yeah, it had to have been years ago because I know how long it's been since I've been there. It's been forever.
And I didn't say anything to you because there's that weird conversation of like...
were we in the same lane?
No. I was at the bar.
Ah.
I went with some friends.
Okay.
And
it looked like quite the scene at the bar on the way out.
I always loved that. Yeah,
sure.
That bar was always a cool little spot. And and I should have said something, but you always have that moment of like, I'm a comedian, you're a comedian, blah, blah, blah. But then I don't want to go back to the moment with De Niro in the hotel room, right? Our whole lives are predicated upon how do I let this person know.
You've also now been the more famous guy who gets a comedian coming up to you and says, I'm a comedian too.
Love it.
Yeah, of course. I do love it. And
but we're always nervous on the other side.
Right.
We're always nervous on the other side. I don't care how big you are, how small you are, how big they are.
I hope even more than Pollak has a cabal of bowlers, there's the word out there on the street that I'm fairly gracious.
People
when you
do
come
say
up
nice
and
things.
say hi.
People do say nice things. So what he's trying to say is if you know him, say hi. If you don't, get the fuck away from him.
Oh, let's be clear. I'm not a big fan of people in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have a connective tissue, like Seinfeld's always like, I can meet a comedian around the world and I'll talk to them if they were, couldn't speak English. We'd sit and just stare at each other for a while.
Yeah.
But I thank you. I hope the cabal picks back up at some point. We'll have to get back out there and start rolling stones. Please listen to
my Mrs. Maisel pod.
My Mrs. Maisel pod right now. Go download it right now. My Mrs. Maisel pod.
It's on the Instagram. It's wherever you
everywhere
find
you
these
get a podcast.
things.
You kids know where to get it. We end the episode the same way. You look into that camera right there.
Hello.
And you say one word or one phrase. Usually, it used to be a word years ago, and then people are like, I don't know one word. So one phrase, if you'd like to end the episode, could be a joke, could be just a little phrase, could be a tip. This is going to be embedded in the Smithsonian in history forever at some point. All the one word or one phrases of Whiskey Ginger podcast. Whenever you're ready, into that camera.
Okay, so Alan Arkin's son, Tony Arkin, and his father, Alan, play a game called One Word Impressions, where you do an impression of someone using only one word, and it can't be a word that that person's famous for saying. That's cheating.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize the trick really is to find a multi-syllabic word to give you more time to get the impression across.
Yes.
So because he's so popular these days, I'll go out as Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Carburetor.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.